Hello, Bookworms. Welcome to The Best Book Ever, the podcast where we get to know interesting people by asking them about their favorite book. I'm your host, Julie Strauss, and I am so excited to tell you that this is my 100th episode, a super fun milestone during a super sad time in American history. I want to take a moment to honestly reflect, if you'll indulge me. I struggled a lot with how to approach this episode, and to be honest, my first instinct was to just skip this week. Here in the States, we are shockingly numb to mass shooting events. But sometimes they are so terrible that the national grief is just overwhelming, which is what happened this past week. I don't have answers to gun violence in America. I mean, I do. I have a lot of answers, but no one, certainly not lawmakers, is listening to me. I mean, statistics tell us that 90% of us want sensible gun reform, but our Congress is not listening, and the frustration of that brings me to my knees. I don't know what to do. So I kind of started questioning the meaning of everything I do and how everything feels just useless. What am I doing here? You know, saying words into a microphone and sending them out into the air. I'm not even making a thing. I'm just making noise. And it feels really insignificant in a world that contains so much pain right now. You know, like, what is the point of this when our children are not safe in their schools? But then in a totally unrelated context, I came across that old starfish story. Don't laugh. If you don't know the story, it goes that there's a guy walking along a beach who finds a bunch of starfish washed up on the sand. And he starts throwing them back into the ocean one by one. And then someone walks by and says, "You're never going to get them all back into the water. Why are you trying? It doesn't matter." And the guy says, "It matters to this starfish." Okay, so that phrase is really stupid, so go ahead and make fun of me. I'm making fun of myself too. It's the type of phrase that gets embroidered on pillows, you know, like next to the pillows that say "live, laugh, love" and "dance like no one's watching." I get it. "It matters to the starfish" is a dorky cliche. But here's the thing. I recorded today's episode several months ago with a woman who really matters to a whole lot of starfish. Charnaie Gordon is the founder of the children's literacy organization 50 States, 50 Books, where she collects and donates diverse children's books to underserved kids in each of the 50 U.S. states. Now, I've been an admirer of Charnaie's work for a really long time, and I was thrilled when she agreed to be on the show. And ever since we talked, I've been thinking really hard about her work and why it matters so much. It doesn't feel like it when giant, scary things are happening in the world. But books matter. Reading matters. And I know you think so too, or you wouldn't be here. And if I can continue this sort of tired metaphor, I feel really lucky that I got to spend my 100th episode with someone who spends her life mattering to the starfish. Charnaie's work is important, and I feel really grateful that I got to meet her, and I'm so excited that you get to meet her. She's a really bright light in this world. So Charnaie joined me to talk about her favorite productivity book, but of course we talked about why reading matters to her, and why specifically diverse books are important, and why she focuses her work life on making sure that all children have access to books. Please stick around to the end, and I will tell you how I am supporting her work and how you can help. Until then, let's listen to Charnaie Gordon tell me why Atomic Habits by James Clear is the best book ever. Hi, Charnaie. Welcome to the Best Book Ever podcast.
Hello, Julie. It's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you for asking me.
It's such a pleasure to have you. We have so much to talk about. I want to start with you and what you do in life. You have a very exciting job. Will you tell my listeners about it?
Yeah, well, currently, I am working for myself as a children's book author, a speaker, as well as a podcast host. I am also the founder of my own nonprofit called 50 States, 50 Books. But I basically get to talk about books all day and read books all day and write about them or share about them.
What prompted you to start 50 States, 50 Books?
It started in the summer of 2018, really just on a whim, if you can believe it. We were, as a family, we purge our books once per quarter. And so, because we get so many books from publishers and authors all the time, literally like almost every day, we get books in the mail, which is crazy. So we can't keep them all. I wish we could, but we can't keep them all. And so we purge our books periodically. And one day we were on our way to the library, getting ready to make our donation to our local library. And my daughter said, "Hey, Mom, how come we always donate books to the library? Why can't we donate them to other kids that don't have books?" And I said, "You know what? That's a great question." And I said, "I don't know. I mean, I'm always just kind of looking, library is the most convenient place, or like, Goodwill or something like that." And I said, "That's a great question." And we did our donation at the library. And then I came home and I just kind of sat with that for a moment. And it took me a couple of days, but one day I was in the shower and I said, how can we do this? Like, how can we get books out into the kids of, other kids' hands across the country? And I didn't want to do like a worldwide thing because shipping can be so expensive. And so I just wanted to keep it here within the US where we live. And so I was in the shower and the name just kind of came to me, 50 States, 50 Books. And I was like, oh my God. And I got out of the shower and I'm like, yes, this is it. We can donate books, 50 books at a time to each of the 50 US states. And at the time, I had no idea if this would even work. But I went to work. I jumped online. I went on to that website. What was it? Was it Fiverr? No, it was Upwork, upwork.com. So I jumped on upwork.com. I found an illustrator and I said, "Hey, I have this idea." I didn't even know who the illustrator was. I just found somebody and I liked, their work. And I said, "Hey, I have this idea, 50 states, 50 books. Can you create me a logo?" And she loved the concept and she's like, "Sure." So it took her a couple of days. She came back with a logo. And then literally I took the logo, I paid her for her work. I took the logo and I literally just started talking about it on my Instagram stories at the time. And this was summer of 2018. But before I started talking about it, I created the website for my kids because I have a computer science background and, in tech. So I created the website. I put the logo up on there and everything. I created their Instagram page. And I just started talking about it on my Instagram page. And I said, "This is an idea I have. I don't know if it's going to work, but here's what we want to do." And in that day, I had gotten the kids on their 50 States, 50 Books Instagram page, 1,500 followers. So 1,500 people, 1,500 people apparently believed in this, and they started following along. And I just said, "Hey, we're accepting donations." And people from all across the country, people from even like as far as like Ireland just started sending us books. And, that's literally how it started.
Did you intend it to be just sort of a interesting project for your kids? Like, let's check off a map and then it really just mushroomed like this?
Yes, that's exactly what happened. It was initially going to be, just like a family. It started out as just like a family thing. And it was a fun thing. And it still is a fun thing, right? For our family, something that we do. And I didn't get the idea to start it and turn it into a nonprofit until about we're in 2022. So until about 2021, actually, is when I got the idea. And I said, you know what, I should turn this into a nonprofit, because we were dealing with things like we wanted to get more books. And sometimes like publishers would say, well, hey, we would love to send it to you, but are you a 501c3? That was always the question. And I would say, no, we're not. So at first we started, we did get like a huge donation from a publisher before we even became a 501c3. Like they sent us 800 books.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So that was in 2019. So we got that huge donation of 800 books. But then I kept reaching out to publishers, and after that, and, they said, they were asking if we were a 501c3, and I kept saying, no. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to turn it into that. And so that's what we did. And so now we are a registered 501c3.
May I ask a practical question? I mean, you're a mom, your kids are young.
They are. When we started this, they were 4 and 5, and currently they're 8 and 9.
Okay, so how does a mom and an 8 and 9-year-old handle 800 books? That's a lot of books. How are you doing the physical work of it? Do you have help?
My husband. That's it.
He's your employee.
That's it.
So it really is just the 4 of you.
It's really just the 4 of us. We don't have a team. It's just us. But yeah, we have a basement, right? In our home, this is where we store the books, in the basement. And so the basement is where all the books are, and the boxes, and, our storage kind of supplies and stuff. But, eventually, the goal hopefully is to get some sort of a space off-site, even if it's a really, really small place, so that, our basement isn't always cluttered with like books and boxes and stuff.
Have you hit every state?
We have. So this is our 3rd time making our way all across the U.S. So we've done it almost 3 times. So this is our 3rd. We're currently working on our 3rd time now. We just hit 20 states for this school year, because we do it every school year. So we started in September, and then we like to finish by May, June. So we're hoping to finish by like May or June of this year again. And that'll be the 3rd time making our way all across the US. So that once we're done this year, that'll be over 7,500 books that we've donated.
Oh my God. So how do you decide the recipient?
Yeah.
In each state?
For sure. So on our website, there is a really brief application. It's like 3 questions, but people have to answer the question. And mainly the main question that we're looking for is, why do you want to be the recipient of the books? And so when we're looking at that question, and when I say we, I'm talking about myself and my husband, we go through the applications that we receive. We're looking for where there is, the places that have the most need and where we can make the biggest impact. So we like to donate books to places where they can be enjoyed by children for many years to come, right? So that's like schools, public libraries, or any sort of like literacy organization that deals with children. And we do not donate to individuals. We have donated to a home school before in the past, but we prefer not to, donate to like, individual parents that homeschool their kids, because that wouldn't be making a really big impact, even though we would love to, support everyone. But, we like our books to be enjoyed for years to come.
Yeah. By hundreds of kids.
By hundreds of kids. Right. Not just one family. Yeah.
And do your kids get to participate in that? Like, do you come down to, we've got a school or a hospital, what do you guys think? And they get to make that choice?
They do. We do involve them in that. They help also with the packing up the boxes. And, they come with us to the post office. So, they're involved.
And you intentionally focus on diverse books for children.
That's correct.
What made you focus it that way?
My platform for my own brand, Here We Read, is all about diversity and inclusivity for children's books. And so I wanted my kids to be involved in some sort of impactful way as an extension of the work that I was already doing. But in addition to that, I think, diverse books are, not really as easy to come by, I would say, in a lot of schools or libraries. Like the need is I think more there for these types of books. And so that's why I wanted that to be the focus.
And then is this something that you've learned along the way, or like, did you already know of these? Because I scrolled through your Amazon storefront and your Bookshop storefront, and the book lists are phenomenal. And I consider myself a pretty well-read person. I was going through this. I haven't seen any of these books. It was just a fantastic list. So are these books that you already knew in your own reading life with your kids, or are publishers coming to you and saying, these are underrepresented books, can you get them out there? Or is it a combination?
No, so I don't. Yeah, I already know about the books on my own. So, but yeah, I mean, we are sent books from publishers, but most of them I already know about them, just because of the work that I do on my own.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty well read, especially when it comes to like picture books for children. Those are my favorites. So,
will you tell me about your personal reading life, Charnaie?
Yes. So I mostly read children's books, if I'm being completely honest. That is like my jam. So, and even though my kids, they are, like I said, they're 8 and 9, but they don't want to read as many picture books nowadays. They're more into their chapter books and stuff like that. But I still do love reading picture books with them during story time when they allow me to. But for myself, I'm mostly reading a children's picture book, but I do read some adult books, if you will, too. But when I am reading a book that's not a children's picture book, I'm usually reading something like nonfiction or more self-help, or I'm always on this quest to just be a better person, and in all areas of my life. So whether that's, learning how to do a different hobby, or learning how to be a better friend, a better person, learning how to be more organized, or just, learning how to write a book, right? How do I perfect my own writing? So I'm always just striving for that thing. And, I'm always a student. How can I just show up better in the world on all levels as a person?
Did you come from a reading family?
I do not. I did not come from a reading family. Reading was something that I picked up when, during my childhood. And I usually attribute it to Oprah Winfrey, who I absolutely love, right? I remember being 9 years old, and when the Oprah Winfrey show first started, and I loved her. I was just so infatuated with this woman, I'm like, oh my God, she looks like me. She loves to read. And, I would come home from school and just be glued to the TV. I didn't really know a lot of the topics that they were talking about at the time. And it wasn't until like many years later, once she started the Oprah's book club thing. But prior to that, she would always just talk about reading and her love for reading and stuff. And I had already loved reading, myself as a child. And, it was kind of my escape, even though I didn't have a ton of books in our household, but I always wanted to go to the library. And I've always been a lover of school. My older sister used to call me a nerd, and, it's fine. But I've always been this way ever since I can remember. Just have had a love of reading and words and writing and just learning. By the time I was 9, I do remember reading some picture books, but picture books weren't as good as they are now. Like now they're just so good. Back then, I don't remember them being like anything that, nothing memorable except for Corduroy, which was my favorite picture book of all time. But it wasn't really, I don't remember any picture books that necessarily had like a huge impact on me besides Corduroy.
Do you remember how you found this book that we're talking about today, Atomic Habits?
Yes. So Atomic Habits, I believe it came out in 2018, if I'm not mistaken. And I think I may have saw it somewhere, more than likely on Instagram. I don't remember who it was, but I'm pretty sure I probably saw it on Instagram, probably from somebody that I admire or somebody that I follow on there, but I don't remember who exactly it was.
And how do you describe this book when you tell people this is your favorite book? How do you describe what it's about?
It's about changing your life, basically, like changing your habits, those daily small incremental habits that you make each day that really can have a huge impact on your life. But yeah, it's really just about changing your habits in your everyday life is how I would describe it. But I do think it is one of those life-changing books, at least for me anyway.
There are a lot of books out there about, be your best self kind of books.
Yeah.
Why is this one so good?
I think mostly because, first of all, I don't know if you've read or know anything about James Clear, but he started writing about habits and decision-making and continuous improvement on his own blog. I believe it was in 2012 when he may have started. But he knows how to create a habit, and he studied this thing. And I think because he's been studying it for so long, and because he knows how habits are formed like so well, I think that's what made it so impactful for me. But I think it's one of those books for me that it's just easy to see why that it's sold over. I think it's like over 50 million copies, or probably even more than that. And it's been translated in so many different languages.
Did you make any changes in your own life after you read it? Like, how did your habits change?
I think for me, the biggest changes that I realized that I needed to make were within my own environment. And James talks about this in the book, meaning in your house, right?
Okay.
So if you have a goal to, say, write a book, right? And this is your goal. This is what you want to do. The hardest part of writing the book is sitting down in the chair, right? Yep. Sitting down in the chair in front of the computer or pen and paper, whatever you're using, and just doing that. If you can get yourself to do that, you're probably, and then of course, once you're sitting, then you've just got to start writing, right? But I think it's the act of actually just setting aside all of your distractions and saying, you know what, I am going to write for 30 minutes today. And that's it, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Get your butt in the seat. Step one, right? Which can be hard sometimes. Some days it can be really hard, right? And so I think that's why sometimes a lot of people will delay things. It's like, I've got to do laundry, or, I've got, to do these things with the kids, or, but if you get your butt in the seat, you will begin to write. And that's the same thing. Like if you have a habit that you want to start a habit of going to the gym, or starting a habit of going to work out, right? Again, the hardest part is going to be getting to the gym. Just get yourself there. It's not the working out, right? It's getting there. Yeah. Putting yourself there in the gym.
What changes did you make then because that's the key. We all know that getting to the gym is the necessary part. What change did you make to get your butt in the chair to write the book or whatever? Like, how did you make that leap?
Yes. So for me, what I did, because I am actually I'm currently, at the time of this recording, I'm under a book writing deadline. Uh-oh. And so, so by my bed, I have a sticky note. It just says, write the book. Right. Okay. And I see this every day after I wake up. Right. And before I go to bed. And it's right there. I cannot miss it. Write the book. So that's there. And then so that's my reminder every day. It's like, okay, I know I have to do that. And then I have it in the bathroom on the mirror. Another sticky note. Write the book. Right. So as I'm getting ready in the morning to get ready to brush my teeth, I know this is something that I have to do. And then it's on my office door. It's another sticky note. It says, write the book. And then I have another one right up here, right above my desk, another sticky note. It says, write the book. And so those sticky notes kind of lead me right to here. And so I'm sitting right in my chair. Right. And that's it's just a small thing. But I knew, and I had on my desk here, I have my computer, I have my notepad right here beside me and a pen. Right. So these are, I'm setting myself up to basically win. Right.
And then do you do any kind of reward system? Like after you do your writing for the day, you get XYZ, anything like that?
I pat myself on the back. I give myself a high five. But no, I don't. No, I don't have a reward. I'm just like genuinely like happy that I actually did the thing. Right.
Yeah. That's enough. The work itself is the reward.
Right. Yeah. I do. I also forgot to mention, for my phone, I will not, like, my phone has to be, away. I have a set time every day that I'm going to be writing. And so, my phone is put away out of sight. Right. So that's another thing that's part of my, another change that I made to my environment.
I think you cannot overstate the impact of the phones on our lives, because the sort of fugue state that we go into, it's unreal. There's nothing else like it. I have so little self-control over it. And I'm not like that. Well, I'm sort of like that when I'm in the middle of a good book where I'll just keep reading, but not to that extent where I look up and I literally go, it was 2 hours of looking at memes on Instagram. It's so dumb.
It is. It's addictive. It is. Yeah. It's highly addictive. Right. And, coming from and having an IT background, right? I have a master's and a bachelor's in computer science. I've worked in cybersecurity before and forensics. And so social media is a deliberate thing. It's specifically designed to make you become addicted to it. Isn't that crazy? And so when you even hear, is it the head of Facebook, maybe Mark Zuckerberg? It was somebody, I don't know if it was Mark Zuckerberg. Somebody said, and this is somebody like that works for Facebook, said, something like, every once in a while, we've got to give you another hit of dopamine to make you stay on social media. And when you think about it like that, it's like they are deliberately putting all of these things on social media to make you, have this fear, this constant fear of missing out. And it's terrible. It really is when you really think about it. And, I'm not going to say that, I don't use my phone. I realize that I am addicted to it. Right. And so that's a habit I don't want for my children, and, because I am in the content creation space and, social media is required for the type of work that I do. Mm-hmm. But I do have a habit to, as soon as they're home from school, like the phone goes away.
So that's exactly what James Clear says, right? Is you just set the simple rule that the habit is when the kids get home, my phone goes away.
Right.
And so then because it's not relying on your discipline, that's where he really got me was discipline's kind of a myth, really. It's really about you just set up the habit.
Yeah, you just said system. And I have in my notes here where he says, yes, if you're looking for results, focus less on goals and more on systems. That is what James Clear says, which I just think that's so good, right? If you just have, it's really all about the systems. What systems do you have in place to make or to help yourself be more successful? Because if you don't have a system in place, then you could just set a goal, but if there's no system behind it, the chances of you reaching that goal are going to be less likely.
Yeah.
I think another thing that I loved about this book is that James Clear says, if you want to make a habit take hold, there are 4 rules. 1, make it obvious. 2, make it attractive. 3, make it easy. And then 4, make it satisfying. And he calls those the 4 laws of behavior change.
Yeah, I like the line, when friction is low, habits are easy. That's really the key. Because if I have to go looking for my workout shoes, I'm not going to the gym. I'm just
you're just not.
I'd be like, I can't find my shoes. I guess that's it.
Right. You've got to put the shoes right by the door. Yes, right.
Exactly.
That's it. It's like setting yourself up to win. If you want to go to the gym, put your workout clothes on your bed. Yeah. Put your shoes right by the door along with your keys.
Impossible to miss.
Right.
Tell me what else you have in your notes.
So another thing I liked was where he says the most effective way to change your habits is to focus not on what you want to achieve, but on who you wish to become. So again, if we can go back to the book writing thing, if you want to write a book, don't focus on writing the book. Focus on becoming a writer. It's like the goals weren't about achieving the certain thing. It's becoming, but rather becoming a certain person in the end. And so he also says, if you're having trouble determining how to rate a particular habit, you can ask yourself, does this behavior help me become the type of person I wish to be? Does this habit cast a vote for or against my desired identity? And then he also says, your environment is the invisible hand that shapes human behavior. There are so many ways we can make our environment work for or against us, especially when we consider that people are a part of our environment.
So surrounding yourself with people who are going to cheer on your good habits.
That's right. So it's the people that you surround yourself with. If you tell somebody, you have a habit that you want to create, and that habit is going to be writing 30 minutes every day, everybody in your, immediate circle needs to know that, so that these 30 minutes every day, she's going to be busy. Leave mommy alone. This is her writing time, right? So I've got to tell my husband, he's got to be on board with it. My kids have to be on board with it, right? I have to be on board with it, first of all, right? But the people around me need to be on board with it too, because I can't have my kids knocking on the door if it's my writing time, right? So that's all a part of the environment. Also, the people that are in your immediate environment also need to be aware of your goals so that they can help cheer you on.
Yeah.
Or if you have a spouse or a partner, that you tell your partner, here's a goal that I want to do. Can you keep the kids occupied for 30 minutes while I'm writing? Right.
And so that's your daily habit, is every day you sit down and everyone knows that mom is writing from this time to this time.
That's it.
And unless the house is burning down, you do not knock on my door.
That's right. That's it.
Oh, great. I'm terrible at that. I tend to be like, I'm going to get to it today. I just have to finish this first. And then
right.
I am awful about setting up that boundary.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to happen at the same time every day. I mean, I try to do it when the kids are at school. This way I don't have to worry about the kids or anything. But there are some days where I do have a tough time getting to my chair to sit and write and set up that time. And so if it happens to be, 7:00 at night, then I just let my husband know, hey, and the kids, this is my writing time. And that's it. Right.
The other thing I really like about his book is when he talks about never missing twice. And he says that the part I highlighted, the first mistake is never the one that ruins you. It is the spiral of repeated mistakes that follows. Missing once is an accident. Missing twice is the start of a new habit. Oh, that one hit me hard. I was like, why are you coming after me, James?
Right. Oh my God. I mean, there's just so many gems and nuggets in this book. Another thing he says is that winners and losers have the same goals. If successful and unsuccessful people share the same goals, then the goal cannot be what differentiates the winners from the losers. Having goals is not enough. If it was, we'd all be winners.
Right. And is that in the part where he talks about, I think this is the same paragraph or the same chapter where he's talking to a basketball coach who says at some point it comes down to who can handle the boredom of training every day, doing the same lifts over and over. That's really the key too, right? Because
that's it.
For writing also, it's super exciting, but it's also tedious.
It is.
And the middle of a book is the most boring thing in the whole world when you're in the middle of it. And you just have to keep going.
You just have to keep going. And that's always the hardest part too. Mm-hmm. I guess we could probably talk about the phrase atomic habits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So it refers to the hundreds of votes that you cast throughout the day about who you'll be in the future. Mm. The more of your life that runs on daily habits, the more freedom you have to focus on more important work. So if you're constantly casting these votes throughout the day, like, nah, I'm not going to do this. Yeah, I'm going to do this instead. I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to do this. It's like you're just basically taking all of these votes on your future, right? Mm-hmm. Or whatever your future outcome is going to be. So I just think that's really interesting.
Tell me what you're reading right now.
Right now, I am actually reading this with one of my girlfriends. It's called Text Me When You Get Home. What? The Evolution and Triumph of Modern Female Friendship. This phrase, text me when you get home, we say it all the time.
All the time.
All the time. And it's one of these things that, the author, her name is Kayleen Schaefer. She writes that women have become accustomed to saying this to each other. It's like, oh, text me, when you're out for like a girls' night or whatever, it's like, oh, text me when you get home. You do the hug thing. Mm-hmm. And it's like, text me when you get home. And it just talks about like how female friendships have evolved over the years.
What is the best way for my listeners to find you and your work?
Yeah, so if you are interested in supporting 50 States, 50 Books, as I mentioned, we are a registered 501c3. So any monetary donations are tax deductible. But you can go directly to our website, which is 50states50books.net. And on the page, there is a donations button. You can click on there and you can see that we We'll accept monetary donations. It is secure on our website. And if you just want to donate books, you can do that too. And our mailing address is on our website as well. We did pick up a partner this year, which I'm really excited about. DylPop's Bookshop. They are an online subscription box where they have like these great book bundles for kids. And so for every book bundle that's purchased, they send us $5. They donate $5 to our organization, which is really nice.
Oh, that's
and
so great.
Yeah, so that's been amazing at helping us to finish these states faster than we could on our own, because we don't charge people to be the recipients of the books that we send. We just send them free of charge. We pay for shipping on our own. So shipping can, get quite expensive sometimes. So the money that's donated from our partner helps us pay for shipping. It helps us pay for our shipping supplies. And it also helps us buy any books that we may need if we don't get enough donations for a particular state.
Let's not say goodbye until we have talked about your podcast. Will you tell my listeners about that?
Yeah. So I started a podcast August 2020, and it's called Here We Read, a bookish podcast. And it's really just an extension of everything that I do for my brand online, where I get to now have deeper and more meaningful conversations with like the authors and the illustrators who write these amazing, diverse and inclusive books for children and adults too. I have interviewed a few people who've written books for adults, but primarily I am interviewing authors and illustrators who write and illustrate children's books on the podcast. And so it's just a fun time where we're basically just getting to know them as people, and we're getting to know them like the projects that they're working on.
Charnaie, this has been lovely talking to you. I have so much admiration for you and the work that you're doing, and I'm just thrilled to direct some support your way. And I wish all the best for you. I just hope this explodes even more. I think it's wonderful what you're doing.
Thank you so much, Julie. I really appreciate you asking me to be on your podcast.
And I hope you'll come back anytime you have a book you want to tell me about.
Yeah, maybe I'll come back and tell you about Text Me When You Get Home.
Yeah. Oh, that's going on my list for sure. I hope you enjoyed Charnaie's company as much as I did. Now, in celebration of the Best Book Ever 100th episode, I'm going to invite you to join me in supporting her work. I've donated $100 from the Best Book Ever podcast, and if you want to help, here's how to do it. If you'd like to make a donation of any amount of cash or very gently used books, go to 50states50books.net/donate and then email me a screenshot of your donation to bestbookeverpodcast@gmail.com. Or you can promote her on your own social media. On Instagram, post anything about her work and tag @50states50books and me @bestbookeverpodcast. I am not on TikTok, Facebook, or Twitter, but if you promote her work through those channels, just screenshot it and shoot me an email so I can see it. Everyone who promotes her, whether it's through money, books, or exposure, and then lets me know about it, will be entered into a drawing, and one randomly chosen winner will receive a $100 gift certificate to their favorite indie bookstore. This contest is only open to residents of the United States, no purchase necessary, and is not associated with 50 States 50 Books or any social media entity. The deadline to enter this drawing is June 30th, 2022. Remember, you can find links to all the books we discussed in the show notes or at my website, bestbookeverpodcast.com. I'll have links to all of Charnaie's work, and also, if you are so inclined, links to some resources for how you can help contribute to reforming gun laws in the United States. I want to thank you for joining me today on this really fun milestone. We are just getting started over here, my friends, and I am so glad you're part of this journey. Until next time, I will see you at the library.